Hey, this is Passy from Passy's World of ICT, the guy with the white hat. And we've got another Access Dog Club database lesson, and this one we're going to add a password onto the front of the database to protect the database, all right? And this is how it's going to work. Basically, what will happen is that when the database opens, after we've added this password, there'll be a little box there and you have to enter the database password. You enter the correct password and click OK, and then the normal thing happens with the splash screen coming up and the main menu as well. So we'll just show you exactly what it looks like in Access before and after. Okay, so in the downloads, you'll get the start database. And when we run this, just double click on it in Windows Explorer, you can see it just starts up as normal and we get our splash screen and then we get our main menu. And remember down here, we've got show ribbon and hide ribbon buttons that we've built in previous lessons, but this will be here for you in the start database. When you click show ribbon, you'll need to do that, of course, so that you've got the sort of all the tools up here at the top on the ribbon. Now, a lot of things when you Google, they tell you all you have to do to put a password on is just go File, Info, and then encrypt with password. But when you try and do that, what happens is you get this error message. You have to open the database for exclusive use to be able to set a password. And that's what we're going to show you in this lesson. We'll show you how you open the database for exclusive use so that it works. So we'll just close that one and let's have a look at the finished one. When you do all the work, now we need to enter the password, which is just all in little letters dogs. Okay, and we click OK, and then it starts up. All right, so you cannot get in unless you know the password, and that's the idea of this lesson. Okay, so in this lesson, we'll show you how to add the password protection. So there's just a three-step process. First, we'll show you that demonstration of how it doesn't work when you get the error, which we kind of already showed you already. Then we'll show you how to open the database with Open Exclusive. That's the secret magic step that's going to make everything work. Then when you set up that password with File Info, it'll actually work okay. And then we'll just test out that the password is working. Now you may want to also remove the password, so we'll show you how to do that. And we'll also show you how to change the database password once you've got it in there, okay? All right, now remember the video play speed. I'm a bit of a slow talker, so make sure you increase the video speed to like 1.5 here or even 1.75x by going to the tools cog on the YouTube play bar. Just click on that tools cog and go to play speed and make that adjustment. Now this should be a fairly quick lesson, so you may not need to use the index timeline, but if you do stop the lesson at any stage and want to come back, you can just find this point in the timeline here, click on the blue numbers and that'll link you in so it jumps in the video, jumps ahead to that spot in the video. Now you'll need to get our start database unless you've been doing all of the lessons and you've done the add browse for photo button lesson. Well, then you can just use that as a start database for this lesson. But if you're just doing this as an isolated one-off or you haven't finished all of the other lessons, just get add password start database from the downloads. Also in there, there'll be detailed step-by-step instructions if you do not want to watch the video necessarily, or go back and watch it again, you can use the instructions, as well as the fully finished database. And these cost less than $2 US, okay? So I don't make much money out of this at all from selling the instructions in the start database, but it will help you buy a poor part-time worker who's lost 2 of his jobs because of coronavirus, have a cup of coffee at the shop. I'd so love to be able to do that. All right, so things you might need to know already about the database startup. In previous lessons, as we showed you, there is no ribbon when it starts up. So when you get the start database and start it up, it'll go through the splash screen and then come to this main menu. Now you have to click that show ribbon button down here so that you can actually have the ribbon at the top to do the work. Now you don't need the side navigation panel for this lesson, but if you did, you could just use the F11 key, which on most laptops you have to hold down the FN key down the bottom left-hand corner and press F11 to just get that usual access side panel if you want to have a look at that, although you don't need it for this lesson. Or you can hold down Shift while you double click on the database. That should be another way that'll open up with the ribbon and the sidebar on it. All right, now as we showed you, there's a wrong way to try and add the password. Most things on Google make out like it's really easy. All you got to do is file, info, and encrypt with password, okay? Which we tried out, and when you click that file up on the ribbon, click on info and click on the encrypt with password icon, what happens is you just get that error message because we have to open the database a special way before we can put a password on. So we can't just go file, open, normal, open. We can't just double click it in Windows Explorer like we've been doing for all the other lessons. In this lesson, we'll show you how to open it exclusive. And once you've done that, you will not get this error message. You'll be able to proceed and set your password up. So make sure you've closed the database. And this time when we open it, we're going to do open exclusive. So once we do that, it will just be step 1, open the database with open exclusive. Step 2, set up the password using file, info, encrypt. All right, so let's get into it. So step 1, open the database as exclusive. So as we saw, if you just double click on it in Windows Explorer, that doesn't work. We won't be able to add a password. So what you need to do is you actually need to start up Access on its own first. So go to the Start button in Windows down the bottom left-hand corner, and then find Access, and then click on that to start it up. And what will happen is it'll start up, and you'll probably see this panel, which will show you kind of your previous projects you've been working on, like this. Now we don't want that start panel, so if you just press the ESC key, which is at the top left hand corner of your keyboard, you can make that go away, and then you'll just be left with the ribbon and a blank screen like this. All right, on to the fourth part. What you need to do now is click on File and then click on Open. And when you click on Open, it'll come to this Open panel, and there's an option for Browse to go looking in folders. So you need to click that. So you need to go File, then Open, then click the Browse option. And then you need to navigate just using, this is called the Windows File dialog here. You can see the dialog we're doing is the Open dialog. You need to just browse through all your folders, and we did that. And here's our one, the Start database. So you just single click on that. If you double click it, you've got to go back to the start of step 1 and do it again. So make sure you just single click so that it's highlighted, and that you do not double click, and also do not click the Open button to open it, because then you'll just be opening it the normal way and you will not have it open as exclusive, which is what we need to be able to add a password. So how the heck do you open it as exclusive? Well, once you've got it clicked and highlighted like this, you go to the Open button, and there's a little triangle down arrow next to it. You need to click that down arrow, right, that's next to the Open button, and just click on Open Exclusive, okay? And then it'll open. You won't really notice it doing anything special, but it will have opened as exclusive, all right? And that way it's exclusive for us to use, and then we can add the password. So the splash screen will come up, and then you'll get to the main menu as usual. There won't be a ribbon at the top, so of course make sure you click Show Ribbon, because we're going to be needing that very soon. So make sure you click that button that's already on the main menu that we built in a previous lesson, and that'll get the ribbon across the top, and then we'll be ready to go. That's the end of the Open Exclusive test. So we got it open for our exclusive use, and we're ready to proceed with setting up the database password. Now, what is this Open Exclusive? Well, if you had a database not like ours, which is just for one user, Juanita at the dog club, but one which was networked and multiple people could use it at once, which is a lot more complicated and we're not going to do in our course, well, then you'd need to open it exclusive so that no one else can be using it while you're in there doing the password stuff, all right? So that's what Open Exclusive means. If it was networked and could have multi-users using the database all at once, if you open it exclusive, they'll all be locked out and can't use it while you're doing your work. So that's the whole idea of it. Now, we're up to step 2, add the password for the dog club, all right? So now we can do that file. We can go to Info, we can click Encrypt with Password like we did at the start of the lesson, and this time we will get the panel come up for us to enter our password. Now we're just going to use a simple password in this, DOGS, all in little letters. But obviously in the real world, don't use that password. It's probably too easy to crack. Maybe use something like, you know, dog clubs are great. All right, and then kind of an exclamation mark on the end of it. So maybe you start with capital D, Dogs are great, if you want to use that, all in one word. You can't have spaces in your password. So dogs are great, all one word, starting with capital D, little letters for the rest, and then put an exclamation mark on the end. And that's going to be pretty hard for someone to hack. But we're just keeping it simple. We're just using dogs and dogs. So we type in DOGS here. Notice that as we type it in, you'll get these star symbols across the top to mask it. So that's a security thing. So type it carefully to make sure you do DOGS here and DOGS all in little letters there. And then it's just a matter of clicking the OK button. And when you click the OK button, you will get this warning message that encrypting with a block cipher is incompatible with row level locking. So we don't, look, that's not a big problem for us at all. So you just click OK on that, all right? And then the password is set up complete. And so we should have that password now in the front of our database where you have to type in DOGS to be able to get into the database. Now we obviously need to test that that is working, and that's our third and final step. All right, so we click on the save icon at the top of the screen, close down your database, or just click that exit database button that's on the main menu, and then we reopen it. Now you can reopen it now by just double clicking it in File Explorer if you want to. And what should happen is that you will just get the access screen. It won't go straight to the splash screen or anything. It'll stop and it'll ask you to enter the password. It says password required, so we just carefully type in our DOGS, which is masked, hidden in case someone's peeking over your shoulder while you're passing it in, typing it in. Hopefully they can't see what it is on your screen. And then you'll get in and you'll get your normal splash screen, and that'll go through to the main menu, and you'll be ready to go and use the Dog Club application. And it's also secure from anyone else that gets onto Juanita's computer from using the application. Now, if you get the password wrong, there's a message box error that comes up, not a valid password. All right, and you keep clicking OK on that, and you'll keep getting asked to enter the password until you get the password correct. Okay, now there's no number of times limit for this. So often on real systems, you'll have that you can only try 3 times or 5 times, and then it just locks you out for 24 hours, or you have to email support or something. With this function that comes with Microsoft Access Office 365, it's unlimited, so you can keep typing. I suppose a hacker can keep typing away, trying to find out what the password is. That's why you need a much better password than dogs. Something like dogs are great, all one word, maybe with an exclamation mark at the end, should be good enough and secure enough. So anyway, we try again, we enter our password. If it's wrong, it just tells us it's not a valid password, and we can try again and click OK. And if we're trying a longer password here, if it's wrong, this message will come up, and you can just keep doing these over and over. Typing it in, it's wrong. Typing it in, it's wrong. All right, now if you want to break out of that loop, you'll notice there is a cancel button here when you're entering the password, when you're trying to enter it. So if you're going to give up on trying to get in because you just don't know the password, then you can click the cancel button, and what will happen then is it just takes you back to the normal file open screen. All right, so that's it for testing it, and it's all working beautifully. It's definitely secure. Someone has to know the password for the splash screen to open up and for them to get to the main menu and be able to do anything at all with the Dog Club. So that's great. We'll be adding that feature on for Juanita to give us some password protection. Now, what if you're going to do some work on the database and you don't want this password stuff flashing up all the time? You just want to take it off. To remove the password protection, you will have to know the current password for the database, and you will have to open the database using that file open exclusive process. So you've got to open it exclusive before you start trying to remove the password. Access will ask you to enter the current password before it opens the database. So we enter in dogs, and then we can show the ribbon from the main menu, click that show ribbon, and then do our file info. And all we have to do is we now click on the decrypt database as if we were just going to set a password up, and it says unset database password. All right, so it knows there's already one on there. This is to remove it, unset database password. So don't type a password in and just click OK. and that will have removed the password from the database. So if you close and reopen the database, it'll just open straight away, and it's not going to stop you with a little box and ask you for a password. All right, so that's how you remove it. Pretty much the same process as adding it. You'll notice that you get unset database password, and you'll notice that you need to know the current password for the database. So you do actually, I think on this screen, you have to enter DOGS, dogs. Don't leave that blank. You have to enter dogs for it to work, and okay, and then it'll be unset and there'll be no password. Now, what if you want to change the database password? What if you have put a really simple password in like dogs, and you someone says to you, dogs, anyone can guess that. You better have a better password. So you want to change it. The thing is that there is no change password function in Access, so you'll have to do it the long way. You're going to have to change the password by first removing the password, like we just showed to you, and then you'll have to add a password to the database, and this time add a much better one than DOGS, and just use those same steps as we showed you previously. Just remember that you need to make sure you have the database open exclusive. So to remove a password, you need open exclusive, and to add a password, you need to make sure you use open exclusive, and don't just go to the database and double click on it in File Explorer. All right, so we're finished. Our lesson is done. So that is great. It's only been about 15 minutes. So save your work. What you need to do is go File on the ribbon and then go Save As. All right, click on that, make sure it's an ACCDB, Access Database, and then navigate to where we had our stuff. We had it in a folder called 12A Password Protect, and put in the name SDC add password finished .ACCDB, and then you can click Save, all right? And that'll be done. Now, if you've got the finished one downloaded from the downloads, you might want to call it add password passy finished, or your name finished, so you don't overwrite the download one, okay? That might be a good idea. And then just click Save. If you've already been saving this, you do your work, which you should. That's okay. Just make sure you click Yes to yes, I want to replace it. And that's all good. So what have we done in our course so far? Well, we've done all of those things to make the database, and we're in this final leg of the course where we've built it and got all the functions in there, but now we're trying to get it ready to deliver to the client. So we created some customized buttons to make their life easier. We added a photo button in the last lesson so that they can just click the photo button to add a photo for a new member. And then we've added database password protection in this lesson. And we've got one more lesson to go where we're just going to have to show you how you change all these settings on the database, how you generate a version of the database which goes onto the client's computer, which isn't the full database you've been developing with, but will work the database on their computers and things like that. So that might be a bit of a long lesson, but there should only be one more lesson in the course left to go. So if you want to see all those other lessons, remember, go to our website, Passy's World of ICT. Just Google for that and it'll come up pretty quickly, or just type passyworldofict.com, all one word, and go to MS Access SDC, Southern Dog Club. And as you scroll down there, you'll see all of the lessons. So if there's other lessons you need to do that you've skipped, or you're interested in doing ones, because this is the first lesson you've actually done with us, just click on that on the website and that will guide you around. So that's the end of adding a database password for password protection, an essential thing for security these days when you're using computer applications. So give this video a big thumbs up, because it will have helped you out a lot. And make sure you subscribe to our channel, and that way you'll get the lesson updates as they come through. You'll get a little notify in YouTube. It won't suddenly flash up and play and ruin all the work you're doing. It's just in the little right hand corner. You just get a little notify, hey, there's another video from Passy, and you can check that out, and we'll see you in the next lesson.